Okay. I think I better do this right now. I covered this yesterday, where we tallied up the numbers that are in the Book of Kings, the chapter numbers. Of course, the sum of 11 is 66. We already knew that. And then we also added the separate verses. We got this number 434, which just happened to be just like fourth chapter with 34 verses. And we read that, and then we did some other stuff. But anyway, remember I was manipulating all the scriptures, the numbers that is anyway, and we arrived at these numbers here. And there are other ways to do this and other combinations you can arrive at, and many ways to even play with this little geometric design a little bit, but you'll notice it looks like that, kind of like a double cross or something, maybe a key. Maybe we've stumbled on something kind of iconic just by accident, and of course it is an accident because there are other ways to do these numbers, but you'll just notice that. What's coincidence is that in the Bible we have a reference. It doesn't look the same in every Bible, and honestly the most interesting one of all was in a Bible that I gave away to someone. I had to thin my collection down, and I have to take all of these back to the library, so we'll just do this little tidbit right here. But if you'll notice, at First Paralipomenion, that is the Catholic version of First Chronicles, it would be, yeah, First Chronicles, so we haven't even done the full array, and First Chronicles would not be about Solomon. But here's something interesting. The Moffat version would say, at chapter 11, verse 11, this is the number of David's knights. You look at that, 11. It would look just like one of these, wouldn't it? So, it's interesting. And remembering that this is Old Testament stuff. It's not related to the stuff that comes later with the Greek fraternities and universities. This is already in place. So maybe the Templars latched on to this kind of business with all of its secrecy and so forth. But you know, there is a scripture in the New Testament, and I couldn't find it, but I'll just say what it says. It says there's nothing in secret that will not be revealed. And after I take these Bibles back, I still have one I can look through, and I'm sure I'll find it, and it'll probably be referenced by something that has to do with some manipulation of numbers, or directly 11. And we have to also keep in mind that, remember, if we go back to the original books of Moses, all of creation seems to be associated with this concept, which has been called under various names, the golden mean, or the golden section. Those definitions can be a little tricky. In today's complete mathematical world, you have something called the natural logarithm, which is one number, 1.6 something, and Fibonacci sequence doesn't get you there right away. Who was right and who was wrong? We won't even dwell on those little details. Because there's better stuff to look for right now, besides trying to debunk anything at all. And soon we're going to get to what I think could very well be an interpretation of a phrase that is found both in Old and New Testament, and it's found in Daniel, and again in Revelation. And it's a curious kind of formatting, with a little juxtaposition perhaps, like I said, a template and overlay. And I'll have to look at that. First, I also said something about the bards committing things to memory. How there are majids and madrasas, schools and institutions that have existed for thousands of years. And even to this day, Jewish children are taught a number of protective invocations. Just like we teach our children, many do the Lord's Prayer. But they're all done with some intent, good intent. And why do we do that? So we'll have good dreams. Because those are very important. That's the real final nut and kernel to what's going on with this logic and that, and these stories. What's that about? Why are these horrific stories on it? And that is the big question. Why is mankind capable of, or immersed in circumstances which just arrive at such bad conclusions? So there are some cyclic occurrences going on, no matter what remedies are produced to enlighten us. Now, modern society has this: Hollywood, movies. They're not just like plays, but you can actually feel, especially nowadays, like you're really immersed in a reality that anything you find in any book can be created on a screen. You want monsters, we got them. You want spaceships, demons, gods. We don't need gladiatorial venues anymore. We can just press a button and gobble all that stuff up and take it in here. And we think nothing of it. See, that's the danger. That's what they really want us to get. And it's not going to be easy to get there. Just to throw a few scriptures at you and say, well, look at that. That's what they're talking about. Or, what is this vast association in all of these religions with supernatural, as we call it. The things you don't want to fool around with, but they're there. So these 9s and 11s have a lot more to tell us. And this number 19 has a lot to tell us. And the golden section, we'll probably make one of these. But my personal quest is to find pi. It's in here. All these 11s and 7s. There's something going on here. It's probably right in front of me already, and I don't even see it. But I'm not going to rush it. Because it will come in time. There are probably just more lessons I have to learn and exercise with you, whoever's going to watch this thing. Now, have some more books. These are not Bibles, per se. Or they intended to be, but this is the Iliad. Everybody heard of that? The Iliad, the Odyssey, Television's modern version is what? Troy. That story. And then, these are the comedies, which were written sometime around the same time as the Bible, as well as the Iliad. We trace that somewhere back to an age when, like I said, there wasn't a lot of writing. People had these traditions. We can go further back, and we can find eras in time when only the elite were even aware of anything. In the Western world, they came up with a lot of interesting works, like Sigmund Freud, and there were many concepts and ideas that Sigmund Freud put forth, as well as his man, Carl Jung, which here's some more Jung. And interestingly enough, I put Shakespeare in the same category because if you look at this complete work that they put together, it's a little like a history book. In other words, what I'm saying is, if you could remember all these plays and have people do the acting, you could accomplish pretty much the same thing. That's what they did in Homer, and what they do today with the Quran, the Vedas. I understand that's reciting an entire part of, I don't know if it's the Torah or another book or a collection of books, because Judaism has a lot of literature and interpretative knowledge, just like Islam has Hadith, their schools. So everybody's really immersed in every nuance of their canon. So I don't want to offend anybody, but guess what? This is just as brilliant. Maybe. And I haven't talked about the Book of Mormon. And like I said, there's so many other things I don't even really know about. But I suspect that maybe all these things have a touch of that map. We just don't know. But one thing that we do know about is this idea of a collective consciousness, or is it something Mr. Young kind of postulated. And it is interesting, because we see this in nature all the time. For instance, a bunch of seagulls not flapping their wings. They're so far up there you might imagine they're just jets, because they're moving so fast. And they're just taken away. And they don't move the same way. It's like they locked into something together, and away they went. Or these swarms of birds that just do these amazing things by their millions, perhaps. They don't collide. It's like they've given themselves up to something. Maybe they're on some brink, threshold between self-control and, this collective, unconscious thing that exists. So, this opens up a broad area of speculation. We're going to point right to what really is a subject that Young postulated that you see with nature. And there's even this story, if you will, about 100 monkeys somewhere in Madagascar, Sri Lanka. They're observed, and it's potato, the gourd story where one monkey started washing, and then before you know it, they assume right around 100 monkeys, all of them did it. And from that day forth, they all continue to do it, and they pass this on generation to generation. But the real one that makes you want to think about this idea of the collective conscious or unconscious, I don't know which one it really is, but there were monkeys not even part of this group, and they picked up In fact, all the monkeys everywhere. And that's how it is. It's collective control. And that's a good example of it. But not to scare anybody, but what they tried to make you understand in this movie, and it doesn't get better than this, because there's a little bit of Sigmund Freud, there's a little bit of Young. This baby's a classic. You gotta watch it and get what all these ancient religions are trying to tell us. Especially, this one that is so maligned every which way because they just give it up the way it is. There's something out there called Jinn. And what is this connection between man and Jinn? That's amazing, isn't it? And what are all these rituals and traditions that are going on long before any of us ever thought of? Before any of this kind of living was thought of? What were they understanding way back when? And these weren't primitive people, of course. They left behind enough stuff that nobody's ever going to be able to get rid of. To let us know. There's nothing we do that hasn't been taught already. Yeah. So we do owe everything to a benevolent creator. Yeah. So we need to understand. I'm not taking all these books back without delving any further into them. And I want you to see this. This is my movie. But it doesn't get right to the chase better than they got here. Power of the mind is nothing to twig. It must be conditioned and trained. Or we wind up with today. Now, I did say a lot already. And I showed you the symbol. We have so much more now to do. So much more. That's going to have to do for now. We may have enough to put on one disc. So this next part is going to have to go on a second.